Welcome to a discussion and interview with one of our instructors and TAs.
My name is Brother Adam, and I've been with QR.
First name
QR
Brother,
for about
last
3
name
years.
Adam.
Yeah, my name is Brother Adam Rahim.
Tell me about your journey with Quran. How'd you get started?
So, as usual with all kids, when I was a child, my parents sent me to madrasa. Went to madrasa, but I never had any formal teachers, teach you tajweed and things like that, until I was maybe about 20 years old, 22 years old, is when I traveled overseas, and that's when my journey of Quran really took off. Other than that, I used to just read Quran by myself, go to madrasa, read upon the different shuyukh at the masajid and things like that. But I had no particular teachers per se until I moved to Egypt in 2016.
Okay.
And in 2016, that's when my Quranic journey actually really started and took off. That's where I started learning tajweed, memorize, and now I'm working on my ijaza, alhamdulillah. Okay. So that's where I started.
So when you say that you went to madrasa, but you didn't have any instructor? My assumption with regards to madrasa.
I went to madrasa when I was a kid.
Okay.
And then for my entire teenage years, things like that, I was all by myself.
Okay.
Just reading by myself.
Gotcha. So did you? So what did the instruction as a child what did it cover? What did you get to?
So it covered basics. I could open the Mus'haf and read, but I had no clue how to explain any of the rules. I just know this is how it should be read.
Okay.
And that's about it. I never knew how to explain it to anybody else. Or the reason why I'm reading it like this. I used to use when I was younger the Mus'haf that has all of the color coded tajweed rules. So you just memorize the colors and you read it like this.
Okay, I gotcha. So as a kid, you're doing it because it's on the purview of your parents.
Yeah.
Right. So now, what inspired you to go do it on your own as an adult?
So it's actually the opposite. So I always wanted to do it since I was a kid. I actually wanted to always study Islam since I was a kid.
Okay.
And I always told my parents, once I graduate high school, I want to leave. I want to go overseas, study in one of those Islamic universities.
What was the influence of that?
I guess seeing other brothers in the masjid that used to go overseas and study, and I saw how they came back, how they have their dress and their etiquettes and their mannerisms and things like that. So it just always intrigued me.
Okay.
So so it came from myself, but it never actually came true. I graduated from high school, then I went on to technical college. I got a degree in automotive technology, got married, started working and things like that. And then a brother told me about this opportunity in Egypt, and that it's very easy to get to Egypt, travel to Egypt. There's not much visa issues. Just go there, buy a visa, just pull up there and go with your money and buy a visa and you start studying.
Yeah.
So I started checking it out and I was like, all right, let's do it. I left my job, left everything, and I went over there for 2016. I stayed there until about 2020, so about 4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yeah, I studied Arabic language, Quran, and Tajweed, and now I'm actually a student online with the Islamic University in Medina, in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And I've been with them about 2 years now, alhamdulillah. So I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree in Islamic sciences.
Got it.
In Sharia specifically.
Did you end up, so the 4 years, was it part of a curriculum or program or what?
So the 4-year program, in regards to the Quran, it was more kind of like freestyle. It's no formal study, it's informal. So just sitting with the sheikh, you would read the portion to him, he would correct you, you come back the next day. So it was like a daily thing. And every day you take a portion of new hifz and then review. And then also you learn the tajweed rules. So I've studied the two main texts, or the two beginner texts, Tuhfat al-Atfal and the Matan of al-Jazriyya.
Okay. Now, usually whenever you study tajweed in a traditional style, there's a lot of vocabulary in Arabic that goes into it.
Of course.
What was that hurdle like?
So when I went to Egypt, like I said, I used to always study here in the States as well. So I studied online the Medina books in Arabic language. So I had not a foundation, but I guess I understood some words. But at the same time, I was also in an Arabic curriculum in an actual institute, and now studying a program that was formal. So once I started studying the tajweed, because when I first went to Egypt, the main focus was Arabic language, to learn Arabic language. So after maybe about a few months being there, I got a basic grasp of the language. It became very easy to understand the tajweed classes and things like that.
Now, had you not had the Arabic instruction, would you have been able to get through?
Oh, no way.
Okay.
No way. Nothing to learn all the technical terms and things like that, because in tajweed, some of the terminology, especially when it comes to sifat and characteristics, it has a linguistic meaning, but then it also has the technical meaning. Yeah. And to understand the technical meaning, you have to have a strong grasp of the linguistic meaning, because they explain the technical meaning using other words, other linguistic words.
Can you give me an example of such?
Like, for example, when it comes to al-itbaq literally means to make something something curved. So it means when you're doing, like, for example, sad, la, ta, va, you curve the sides of your tongue.
Yeah.
Sides of your tongue. So linguistically, it just means al-itbaq. It means to, have something curved. It doesn't matter what it is. You can put your hand like this, al-itbaq, and your hands like that. So just hearing that doesn't really explain to you what exactly it means in Tajweed.
Okay.
So this is one example.
Got it. You were there till 2020, right? So did you get caught in the pandemic there?
No, actually, right when I got back here is when everything basically, like, shut down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got out quick.
I got out, yeah.
before you got stuck. Okay. Yeah. Now your online study with
Islamic University of Medina.
Islamic University of Medina.
Yeah.
Is that because of the remote learning?
Remote learning, because like I said, since I was young, so I actually, since I was 18, once I graduated high school, I tried every year to apply. I never got accepted, ever.
Okay.
And then when I came back to the States, I still always wanted to study, but with the pandemic, things like that, I just I'll work, save money. When things open back up, then I'll move out again, maybe to Egypt again. But then this opportunity came where I found out about they're starting to do distance learning online for Islamic University of Medina. I was like, oh, let me apply. Yeah. Because I got in because of my background in Egypt, because you have to have like a certificate of, they call it shahad. That's kind of like somebody witnessing for you, basically, that, you're proficient in Arabic language and things like that. So once I was able to submit all of that, I got through, alhamdulillah.
Okay. So I guess to begin that study, the language was the prerequisite.
Yeah, prerequisite, yeah.
Okay. Now, when did you start teaching with Quran Revolution?
I started in 2020. In the
shortly after
fall of
you came back?
Yeah, shortly after I came back.
Okay.
A few months after.
How did that happen? Were you recruited? Did you seek him out? Like, how that happened?
Yeah, so working for Cure actually was a blessing. So Quran Revolution is an umbrella under Al Maghrib. So and Sheikh Walid Al Basyuni, he was the one who actually told me about this opportunity, and told me they're looking for some TAs, send a resume in, perhaps maybe it'll be a good fit for you. So once that started, once I sent that in, everything just started rolling.
Okay. So you got your resume put together, like, hey, I studied here, this is what I've done, this is my teaching experience. I know you guys are looking for TAs, here's my application.
Yeah.
And talk about that interview process. Like, how'd that go?
So the interview process was actually pretty easy, I would say. Sister Alia, who's the CEO of Quran Revolution, I had a phone call interview with her, alhamdulillah. And once it was done, I immediately got the job, alhamdulillah. And she's saying, we have so many applicants that come through here, but most of them usually are not a good fit for the students, because a TA is not much as what you can benefit from the program, is what you can benefit the students. So she said she thinks that I'll be a good fit, be a benefit to the students. And the thing is, when it came to working for QR, yes, we have our traditional sense of studying Tajweed, but in the year one program at QR, we also have our specific curriculum, because this is specifically geared for English speaking students.
Yeah. So
we teach all of the Tajweed rules, but we bring it forward in a manner that students can understand, that they can conceptualize in their own way, in their own words. For example, very simple. If I was to say these words to you in Arabic, harf mufakham, harf muraqqaq, everybody look at you like with a dare and looking into headlights. You have no clue what you're talking about. But the way Imam Wissam puts it forward, everybody knows how to say the word awesome, and and you have happy, just basically how you're able to understand. That's how we reach out to the students, bring it in a manner where they understand, they're not frustrated.
In the interview process, they were talking about how they have a lot of applicants. It's a question of whether or not the instructor is a fit for the students.
Yeah.
Did they articulate what those elements of fit were?
Oh yeah. So being fit for the students, you got to ensure that you keep the students' feelings in mind, in the sense that generally speaking, when we're growing up, we got hit to learn Quran. We were getting hit in our knuckles. That's how we were learn how to. Even though we're not back home, right here in the States, those teachers they were from back home.
Yeah. So
that's how they were teaching you. And, most kids, they don't want to do Quran after that. They grow this type of hatred for the Quran.
Yeah.
So it's more of, more constructive criticism. Instead of telling the student, this is wrong, this is a mistake. No, you say, I think this is a better way to do this. Just the wording changes the entire, outcome of the situation, of how the student perceives it.
Okay. When you joined Quran Revolution, at that point, had you already become familiar with the simplification?
No.
Okay.
I had to go through a training.
You had to go through training,
yeah.
And describe that experience. How'd that go from A to Z?
So it starts off with, you have to, basically, I went through the program as if I was a student.
Okay.
Basically, I went through the program as if you're a student. You go through each level as if you're a student. You watch all the videos, you make sure you understand it, and you just keep building on that gradually.
How long was that period?
So maybe I would say that was about a month or 2 months approximately.
So it's like an accelerated.
Accelerated,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you basically consumed all the videos.
All the videos, all the lessons, everything, yeah.
And once you came out of that, what were you thinking? What were your thoughts on it?
So my thought process on it was like, wow. I mean, for someone to come up with this entire curriculum. So they took the traditional, the traditional Tajweed learning and things like that, and they brought it now, because we have all those traditional Tajweed terms. Most of them all those books have been mostly translated into English. They're already there. Yeah. Everybody already uses them. Everybody benefits from them. But
even in the translation.
Yeah, but even the translation is still difficult to understand.
Yeah.
So, once I started reading this and I looked at how Imam Wissam put his program together, it's like, wow, someone really put deep thought into this. And not only that, they really wanted to benefit the people. Because when Imam Wissam did this has no benefit to him at all. He studied, he knows all these, he understands everything in the traditional sense. But he really had the love for the Quran. And I saw that in the program, and he wanted to really, really bring this to the masses as much as possible.
Once you got through all the material, then what happened?
So once I got through all the material, I started my first semester, and started off with just a few students, just to get a grasp of it.
What's a few?
So maybe I would say about 40 to 50 students.
Okay, I was thinking 4 to 5. You're like 40 to 50.
No. Well, in perspective of things, I have about 125 students now.
Okay.
So that's in perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have 40 to 50 students, and now this is all level 1.
So most of them level 1, level 2.
Okay.
So you're starting off, your basics, the letters, recognizing them, learning the shapes, learning the basic accents, a, e, u, things like that. Just going through the very basics. And level 2 is where you've got a little bit of a foundation, but now we want to fine tune those sounds. Make sure your sounds are good. No Tajweed yet.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when people usually study, they try to go directly into Tajweed. But no, you have to learn a basic. It's just like English. When you're learning English as a kid, do we study grammar? What's the subject? What's the predicate? So it's kind of like think of it like that.
Even as adults, we still remember.
We don't even know. Yeah, even if adults, we don't even know this stuff. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like you're going backwards. You're learning all these Tajweed rules, but how are you going to apply it? You don't even know the letters.
Yeah.
You don't even know how to say the letters properly, the correct sounds.
Okay.
So I would say, starting from scratch and even if you're old and, you studied previously, starting from scratch is not really going backwards. Because in reality, what it helps to do is solidifies what you've learned already. And maybe you've learned certain things that you understood it wrong, or you understood it in a different manner. But now that you go through this program and you see it in a different perspective, everything else starts to click, and you start to correct some of those things.
How long have you been now?
2 years.
You've been doing this for 2 years.
2 years.
And in the span of these 2 years, how many people have passed through you?
Oh, hundreds.
So
I would say in the past 2 years, I would say at least 400 students.
Okay, so at least 400 people. Yeah. That's a great sample size.
Yeah.
Right? Like usually if you're doing any kind of statistical study, you try to get 150 to 200, maybe 250 ideally. Yeah. And so in these 400 people, what would you say? Now, I'm guessing this 400 spread between level 1 and level 2 or multiple levels.
So now I have students in all levels.
Okay.
So
even into year 2.
This is year 1 right now.
Okay, in year 1. Okay.
Yeah. So I would say over those 400 students, to put it in perspective.
4 levels.
So 4 levels.
Okay.
4 levels. Yeah. Levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. To put it in perspective, for example, let's say in most of the semesters I have about, between 100 and 125 students.
Okay.
Out of those 100 and 125
Each
students.
Level?
No, in total.
In total. Okay.
In total.
Okay.
In total. So out of those students, I would say, if from what I can remember off the top of my head, maybe I count them on my hand, students that failed.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say too lax, because I don't want to pass. I don't pass no one unless I know they're going to make it in the next level. Yeah. I don't just pass you to make you feel good.
One of the reputation that you have is you have a little bit more strict.
Yeah.
If compared to other instructors.
A little bit, yeah. If you pass them on to the next level, you're ready for that level.
Okay.
So, and I would say I had students, if you come and put in the work and you follow the feedback that we give you, like students, I have students come fresh. They don't even know the letters. Yeah. They don't even know what's alif, what's ba, what's ta. And by the end, they finish level 1 with me, alhamdulillah. They're able to read the Quran. Okay. They're able to read, alhamdulillah. So, once you put in the work, and like I said, you follow the curriculum. So stick to the curriculum and listen to the feedback of your TAs, and you put in the effort, nothing can go wrong.
In a given year, it's 125 students. Yeah. Right? So that's about 20 to 30 per level.
Approximately.
Or is one more heavy?
So level 1 and 2 is most of where my students are at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say that's like 60%?
60% of students,
okay.
yeah.
So out of the 400 people that have passed through you, would you say the vast majority of them have gone through you starting with level 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most students usually pass through me.
So easily at least 300 people?
Out of all the TAs, I usually have the most level 1 students.
Okay. So your observation of students that come to you in level 1 over the course of these 16 weeks or so, right? What are the top maybe 3 things you notice about them, just in general?
So in general, most students usually come in very motivated.
Okay.
They're very motivated. You know, sometimes you have students come in before the program is even open, like before the first day the program starts, they've already submitted a submission without even watching any videos. It's like, wait a minute, how did you even turn this in? So, and that
is that like a glitch in the app or something? Or
no. So what the program usually starts on a Monday, right?
Yeah.
And we usually have our launch party on Sundays. So as soon as the launch party is over, students start submitting.
Okay.
But you should wait. The way we tell students to go through the program is
like take the week.
Take the week. You have a week. So you want to ensure that, you know, the new video lesson becomes available to students every Sunday.
Yeah.
We say, you know, watch it between Sunday and Monday. Watch it a few times.
Yeah.
We also have live classes. Remember, Sam holds live classes for each levels on Monday and Tuesdays. Yeah. So it's a repeat. So the Monday, if the times don't fit you, Tuesday is going to fit you. So you have morning and then evening in those days, right? So you want to attend your live class, watch your video lessons, and we have what's known as a QRC, which is known as Quran Reading Circle. It's not a formal class. It's very informal. So students come there and they get live feedback. So they're reading to you and you give them a live feedback on the spot.
This is different from a class.
It's different from a class.
Okay.
Yeah, completely different. So it's not
really... the class has a structure that you're presenting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's not really any structure. Basically, every QRC is different.
Okay.
Because perhaps maybe a TA might read just one verse. Maybe a TA may read a short surah. Or a TA might decide, you know what? This semester, we're going to start at the beginning of this juz and we're going to read all the way to the end as far as we can get.
Okay. So
there's not really any structure. Each TA runs their QRC differently. But the QRC is for all students.
Okay.
So you come there and you get live feedback. And the reason why the live feedback is important is because sometimes explaining things to you where you're able to communicate with me and you're able to ask me questions is better than you just listening to a feedback of mine. So you want to combine between both.
Okay.
You want to listen to the feedback.
There's no delay.
Yeah, there's no delay. So you want to listen, you want to work on your feedback that you give you, but also attend the QRCs, which is going to help you to how to apply that feedback in your learning. And then, you know, from Thursday through Sunday, make sure you turn your submission in. But this motivation usually lasts for most students up until maybe about week 6, week 7. After that, they fall flat on their face.
The midway.
Midway.
Okay.
And you don't hear from these students until, you know, the end of the semester again. And then they pick back up. Oh, I'm sorry, you know, this happened, that happened. Or sometimes some of them don't ever come back.
Okay.
And then the next thing I notice about students is sometimes they have unrealistic goals.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why sometimes they don't make it. In order to make it, you must have realistic goals. So, for example, if you're in level 1, don't have goals that you're going to memorize the entire Quran. Don't have a goal that you're going to have all the sifat and everything.
That's a nice aspiration to have.
Yeah, good aspiration to have. Yeah, very good.
But I guess it's the understanding that, like, look, in these 16 weeks, here's what
you're going to accomplish.
Yeah,
and set realistic goals for yourself. Because, you know, don't look at those who are above you.
Yeah.
Look at those who are in the same level as you or are below you.
Yeah.
You know, because myself and Imam, all of us, we all started where you're at. We all started right there.
Or even the other factors, it's like, look at where you are today compared to where you were yesterday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you take a look back, so sometimes we tell students, we want you to, when the semester's over, I want you to listen to your first submission you made and your last one. And tell me the difference between them. You'll notice a vast difference between it.
Okay. Now, is that something that's audibly noticeable or clearly noticeable, at least to you as a TA?
Oh, yeah.
Generally across the board?
Generally across the board, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would understand what's level 1.
There are students there sometimes that, you know, you feel like, you know, you're talking to a wall. Okay. Because sometimes it seems as if they're not even listening to your feedback. So they just submit.
Yeah.
But it feels like, wait, are they even hearing my feedback?
Right.
So, yeah.
So how do you respond to that? Like, or do you respond to that?
Yeah, so we try our best. We always try our best to reach out to students. You know, we say, please confirm to me that you're actually hearing this.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'll send them an email, you know, make sure that everything's good. Are you actually receiving my feedbacks?
Yeah.
Things like that. Make sure everything is good. But sometimes you don't hear back from them at all. They just continue throughout the entire semester. Yeah, they make some progress, but not as much as those students that interact with you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, after you get your feedback, you have the opportunity, you can actually respond back to the feedback with any questions.
Okay.
So I always tell students, if you have any questions, make sure you ask your questions.
So it's basically like a voice note going back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so generally across the board, like I would understand with level 1, you're going from 0 to something.
Yeah.
Right. So that's clearly noticeable.
Yeah.
Now, what about in the cases of level 2, where you're going from something to the whatever the progress is?
Yeah.
How often? Now, I would assume for a student who's going through it 9 times out of 10, every week, the progress, they don't see it.
They don't see it.
Right?
No.
But you as an instructor, like, because you're seeing so many people, and you're not looking at yourself, you're looking at the progress of somebody from like week 1 to week 16, right? 3 months or 4 months later. What's the disparity in progress?
So there are certain students where it's very clear. Like you see their progress week to week. You know, that you can tell for sure, you know, the student is putting in the time outside of the program. And then there's other students where it's not really.
Can you clarify that? When you say they're putting in time outside of the program,
meaning they're practicing outside, so they're not sticking only to the curriculum.
Okay.
Because if you stick just to the curriculum, you're not gonna excel at the pace that you want to excel at.
Okay.
So we always
I just want to clarify this, right? Because the program itself is pretty robust if you take advantage of all of the components.
Well, there you go. If you take advantage of all the resources, most students...
That's still within the program.
It's still within the program, So you want to ensure that you're taking advantage of all the resources.
Okay.
But on top of that, we advise students...
So what you're defining here is somebody who does the bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
Versus taking advantage of everything the system has to offer.
Of course.
Not necessarily going outside of the system.
Exactly.
Okay. So, and the bare minimum, as I understand,
the bare minimum is
that you get your video lesson, right? And then you do your submission. Okay. You don't attend the live.
You don't attend the live.
You don't attend the QRC.
Yeah.
You don't
attend any.
Well, you do your feedback.
We do your feedback.
submission.
So we also have a session called office hours.
Yeah.
So in those office hours, you can attend there, and then you can ask questions now. Because sometimes in the live class, when presenting the program, there's not much time there at that moment to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
So on Wednesdays, we have office hours, and another day as well, we have office hours as well. And this office hours, you can come there and you can get your questions clarified. Okay.
So just to kind of, at least to differentiate these different life factors.
Yeah.
Right? So the difference between a QRC, a Quran reading circle, and an actual live class for level 1, level 2, 3, or 4 is that there's a structure you're following the class, right? And people more or less consume it.
There's not much participation from the student's end.
Okay. Now, in a QRC, there's technical feedback. Right? So somebody's, they're sparring.
Yeah.
Right? They're performing, and you're making adjustments and fine tuning them as they're doing that. And then in office hours, they have specific, maybe even off-topic questions.
Yeah, even off-topic questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I guess it's more of a hangout.
It's kind of really chill. The office is not. That's
less formal.
Less formal.
Okay.
Less formal. Yes.
Okay. So these are the key differences. My assumption is that the people who attend classes live will also be more likely to come to the Quran Reading Circle. Will also be more likely to come to office hours.
Yes.
As opposed to somebody who might pick one or the other.
Yeah. So essentially, you have those students. It's from what I've noticed is you're just on either end of the spectrum. It's either you're doing the bare minimum, or you're taking advantage of all the resources available to you.
Okay.
I never really seen much students in between.
Okay. Now the people who do the bare minimum, they still make progress.
Oh, of course, without doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, they definitely make progress.
Now, what's the difference in the progress of somebody who does bare minimum?
Yeah.
Let's say in level 2, for example.
Level 2,
right? And to clarify, anybody who's not familiar. Level 2 is somebody who knows how to read, but they don't know how to recite.
Yeah, they don't know how to recite.
Correct. Okay. Yes. So somebody who does the bare minimum from reading to reciting versus somebody who does the bare, takes advantage of all the resources from reading to reciting. What's the difference?
So the difference is the person who took advantage of all of the resources, they passed with flying colors, right? They passed with flying colors, and sometimes they even accelerate and learn things that. Because sometimes if I notice this, we notice the students in advance, sometimes you might throw in a tip or here and there where we might not give that tip to a student who's just doing the bare minimum. So this student now gets exposure to something that's going to come, and they work on that before they get to it. So they pass the program with flying colors. The other student that just did the bare minimum, they may have understood everything, grasped everything that they did there, but they didn't actually, excel in every single every single aspect of that level. Because, going through level 2, it's very precise in the sense that everything is based off of what you took previously.
Okay.
So, every week you're learning about different group of letters, where they come from, how to.
So it's progressive learning. In the sense that if you look at lesson 12, you're not going to get it except that you've gone through lessons 1 through 11, right?
Yes, but it's not always like that. In most cases.
Okay.
In most cases. Yes. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. The first lesson of level 2 is known as awesome versus happy.
Sure.
Now, if you come into lesson 8, which is specific to letter Ra, and letter Ra is known as the concept of Arusad the pirate. Letter Ra falls into both categories. So now if I tell you letter Ra falls into awesome and happy, but you skip lessons 1, 2, and 3.
I mean, if you don't know what awesome and happy is,
then you have no clue how to work
so there's foundational elements that are preloaded
in
the beginning of the curriculum, so that when you make references to those, it's like vocabulary.
Your vocabulary.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, and all of this, like we always tell the students, and most of them don't take advantage of it, all this is presented to you. It's all in the resources. We've created a glossary of technical terms.
Right.
And you can refer back to it at all times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, generally, if somebody does, because it's almost like, I've noticed this with some of the people that I've spoken with that have gone through the program, is that the journey of somebody who's doing the bare minimum, it almost to the T follows the story of the beats of a hero's journey in storytelling.
Yeah.
Which is essentially, you have a character who's the protagonist. They come upon an opportunity. Maybe they delay or whatnot. But something finally pushes them over, right? Yeah. And then now they're in the main story, right? Everybody's motivated. There's a lot of fun and games. But it's right around the middle mark where, stuff hits the fan.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's everything after that, in the third quarter of the story, that all the bad guys are closing in, right? And so life gets in the way, and so this journey that you started on now suddenly it's like you're not making any progress. If anything, you're going backwards, right? Until you get to a point where like this is the do or die moment. If you don't address it now, all is gonna be lost. Right now, and I've noticed one of the factors that leads to all of it being lost, like you losing the semester, failing it all together, is that there's a limitation of how many submissions you can make per week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so I think it's like what, 2?
2. And it's really 2 in a 7-day period. Okay. So it's not like, you submit now on Friday and Sunday comes a new week. No. You got to wait until Friday again of next week to do your 2. So it's 2 in any 7-day period. Okay.
So in truth, if somebody is on point up until, so let's say it's a 16-week setup. Yeah. You've got 8 weeks. Maybe by week 7, 6 or 7, right? Yeah. They're on time. Yeah. And then from like 7 to like 13, they miss it. Yeah. But if they get on it and submit two every week, they're able to.
I'll give you an example. I have some students where they start submitting submission 1 in week 7 or 8. So they start their program in week 7 or 8. Okay. And they actually complete. And they actually do make progress. Yeah. They do make sure they're on top of 2 every week until the program's over. And those students.
What kind of circumstances lead to somebody?
So circumstances like that, is actual real life situations. I got sick, or my mom died, or something like that happened, and they weren't able to start the program on time. But then you also have those students also, like I said, with unrealistic goals. Right. They come in on week 7, week 8, and starting the program, and they want to do the bare minimum, one assignment a week, and don't put in much effort. And at the end, why didn't I make it? Why didn't I pass? Well, I mean, you get out of it what you put into it.
Right. So now, at what point do you get to learn about what their specific goal is?
Students?
Yeah. Is it just because if these people are doing the bare minimum, they're not coming to the lives.
No.
Right. So how are you learning about what their goals are?
So generally we don't. Generally we don't learn what their goals are unless this is a student. Like you have certain students, like I said, they interact. They interact with you. You have students that they don't want to interact. They don't interact at all. Okay. So like I said, it's like we're speaking to a wall. So you have those students, they submit, you send them their feedback. Within a day, they send back. At least they just send you a message letting you know that they got it. At least, Okay. Or they, I didn't get this. What do you mean by that? Or actually a question. But then you have those students, you just give them their feedback over and over.
Yeah.
And you don't hear back from them.
No, so in the system, I'm assuming there's no like, on WhatsApp you get like the blue check mark.
Red.
The red mark.
Yeah, no,
right?
we don't have that.
Okay, that might be helpful.
Yeah, maybe something we need to talk to the developers about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, one thing about the apps, we're talking about the app. Everything is in the app.
Okay.
You have
even you as an instructor are operating through the app.
Through the app.
Okay.
Yeah, so everything is in the app. There's nothing that you need to do outside the app.
Okay.
You get your the videos that are there.
Yeah.
Your submissions are there. You can access all the live sessions from there.
Right.
You communicate with your TA through there.
But if somebody wants to access the live session, whether it's a QRC, the reading circle, or office hours, or the live class, can they do it through the laptop?
Yeah, they can do it through their PC. They can.
Right.
They would have to reach out and ask for a link. Because it's all automated through the app.
Okay.
You see
because when you were doing your Quran reading circle, you were doing it off of your laptop.
Off my laptop, yeah, through Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if somebody has like a tablet, it's the same idea.
Well, tablet's the same idea. So it's an app based. It can work on Android or iOS.
Okay.
So you can get it through your tablet. You can get it through your talking about that. It's a good question to look into. Can you use an emulator through Windows? Maybe you can. I don't know. Like a BlueStacks emulator, and you can open the app through. But generally, the only thing the students are able to access through like a PC or laptop is through the portal. They're able to access the video lessons.
Okay.
All their video lessons. They can
but the live stuff that, like, for example, from the perspective of the instructor, you're using Zoom to broadcast.
Zoom to broadcast,
okay.
Yeah.
And that's specific to the instructor.
Specific to the instructor,
okay.
Yes.
But generally, the student, their interface is all through the mobile application.
Through the mobile application,
okay.
Yeah.
You're on year one in terms of your instruction.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself getting into year two, or how does that? I don't know how that works.
Yeah. So definitely, it's based off of your time.
Okay.
I was offered to work in year two, but due to time constraints, things in life, I just stuck to sticking to year one. So the year two program is it's actually just like year one. It's very, very robust, and in that level now, that's where you start learning more of the technical way. So in that way, sometimes, and you also start memorizing, and you have more of, instead of having, same way you go through a curriculum, watch a video lesson, do submissions, now you have a 15-minute session that you can book in your time with a TA of your choice, and it's called one-to-one. Okay. So you have 15 minutes where you're sitting down with your instructor, private now. Right. So not with everyone there, private, you're and you get all those 15 minutes to yourself.
With your 125 students.
Yeah.
In a particular semester,
yeah,
does that take out of your week?
So it varies based on how much students submit. So sometimes, like I said, when it comes in the beginning of the semester, I'll say, roughly about 35 hours, right, a week. But when it gets now to the mid-semester towards the end, where students are now trying to cram in all their submissions, that's when the time starts to go up.
Okay.
Because and our turnaround time is 2 days, 48 hours. From the time you submit, within 48 hours, you're going to have a feedback.
Okay.
So let's say, and most students generally wait until the weekend. So when you come back on Monday, you might go and open your inbox. It's like 50 submissions, and I got to get all these done in 2 days. So sometimes it's not, some days might be more than more, but overall average is about maybe 30, 35 hours a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that 30, 35 hours a week is like a lot of it's probably front loaded into the beginning of the week because of the number of submissions.
They'll come to the weekend, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically your week gets lighter as it progresses.
As it progresses, yeah.
Okay. Like if you get 50 submissions on a Monday, right? Like how long does that take?
Yeah, so you have to get those 50 done by Tuesday, right? Uh-huh. Tuesday. So sometimes you're working on Monday and Tuesday, 3-4 hours in each day just to get those submissions.
Okay. So
out.
What is it? You just simply, because that might be a thing to capture maybe with you, because I've only sat in on, I know with Umar Khan, right in Canada.
Okay.
This was a funny story. I had completed a bike ride from New York City to Montreal.
Yeah.
And when I showed up at his place.
Okay.
Right? And he's like, hey man, just relax. I need written whatever. We'll take you out to poutines or whatever.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I got to answer some QR questions.
Oh.
So I'm laying there like half asleep.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing him respond,
hearing
and giving feedback here.
Yeah.
And this must have gone on for like an hour.
Yeah.
Right? And so and I was like, wow, there's a lot of submissions. But I guess that was, like for him, but I'm just thinking like it'd be nice to capture that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Maybe from you or for somebody, any one of the instructors.
Yeah.
But each submission, I know with Omar, it took him like a few minutes.
Yeah. So each submission, the feedback ranges from about 2 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Depending on how in depth you need to go. So 2 to 5 minutes. 5 is like the cap off. You don't want to go more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
2 to 5 minutes is your feedback. So, I mean, my personal process in grading submissions, I document everything. So I always have everything to refer back to. So I can visualize their progress.
Okay.
So I keep everything on the computer, the student's name, the submission that they did, and what mistakes they had, and what they need to work on, and what they did better in the following week. So we have both. So I'm able to gauge their progress very, very easily.
Okay. Is the student able to see the documentation that the instructor has of them? Or no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's any value in that. I know for me, if I was a student, right, like I would like that. I mean, I guess it depends on the kind of instruction, right? Like one of the things that I always found frustrating when I was in college was I'd submit a paper, and then they just send it back like, no, like gotta do better.
Do better,
Right? Like what?
yeah. Well, so the difference here is a little bit is we're telling you what to do. We're telling you in our feedback. We're telling you exactly what to work on.
Okay.
So generally in the feedback,
that's where the documentation.
The document takes place. We'll give you roughly about 3 specific things.
Okay.
So not when you get your feedback, it doesn't mean I'm telling you every single mistake, everything needs to be. No, I'm telling you there's 3 main things I want you to focus on.
I would imagine somebody submits, especially in the early weeks.
Yeah.
Right, and they're gonna be their submission probably fumbling left and right.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you pick what are the 3 that they should be focusing on?
So generally, you stick to the focus of that week's lesson. So each week has a specific focus. So your first points are going to come from that focus.
Okay.
And then if once you build upon the week, now, for example, if you're in week 5, now you can build upon if they're still making mistakes in week 2's concept. You can build upon week 5 and week 2.
Okay.
So you stick to everything they've learned previously. And like I said, if you're an advanced student, sometimes we'll throw you a bone.
Okay. Now, do y'all ever come down on a student for? Like some people, they just keep making the same mistake over and over, right?
No, never.
Okay,
never. Regardless of we never come down on students because
What is the situation? I mean, it almost seems like it's. I mean, I guess because the context is that you're dealing with adults.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Right.
Yeah, most of the time you're dealing with. I probably in my entire 2 years with Quran Revolution with QR, I probably maybe had about maybe 8 to 10 students that were young kids.
Well, now what's a young kid?
So I had before someone like maybe about 6, 7 years old.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So we generally don't advise for students.
But would that work? And like, I would. I mean, I'm imagining myself as a 6, 7 year old.
You would have to have someone working with you.
Okay.
You can hear sometimes that their mom or dad is there sitting with them.
Okay, they're being coached along with the system.
Yeah.
Okay. What about teenagers?
Yeah, we have teenagers that come through there, and generally teenagers are the ones that are forced to be there.
Okay.
So they're the ones like, oh, you got to get your hour and 2 hours in every week of Quran. Just hurry. We signed you up for this program.
Okay. But generally, is it safe to assume that the vast majority of the motivated students are your grown adults?
Grown adults.
Okay.
Yeah, we have old. I don't call them old, but in relation to my age, sometimes you have older brothers and sisters. Maybe 40, 50.
That's not old, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
He's like 40. He's like, nah.
Well, sometimes I forget I'm 30 now. I was like, wait a minute. I still think I'm a teenager.
When you're saying elders, I'm like, what? Is he talking about 65, 70? He's like, nah, 40, 50. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And the vast majority of our students are those, are working class, 9 to 5. 9 to 5, they work. Or sometimes most of the time, they're moms too.
Okay.
So you have a lot of moms that come through, and you'll notice that sometimes the moms, they put in the most effort. They're the ones that put in the most, and they're always there at all the QRCs, all the live classes. They don't skip a week, and they're there with their kids because you can hear that their kids are around there.
I was gonna ask you, what is the trait or what kind of thing do you notice that's common among those who are the motivated crowd that don't miss these weeks? Is it mostly all moms, or
generally it's mainly women, moms, and regardless of what's going on in life, they're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what you can the consistency is there regardless of what's going on around them.
So what's the maybe behavioral tendency or just general observation that you've noticed the difference between the men and women participating in the program?
Yeah, I'll say in regards to coming to the classes, Sometimes I'd have an entire QRC just filled with all women.
Okay.
All women.
Okay.
And maybe sometimes you have 1 or 2 men pop in.
Okay.
But generally it's filled with women, and from what I can see, most of them they're all moms because you can hear their kids.
Now, is the ratio of men and women more skewed towards women, or is it more or less?
In sense, you mean like how many women and men in the program?
In just in general in the program.
No, I think it's actually pretty balanced.
Okay,
it's just balanced. The women put in the more effort and come into the live classes and the QRCs and things like that.
Now, one of the things that I've heard on more than one occasion, right? Why some men don't show up to a live class.
Oh yeah,
right.
Well, I think it has
they don't want to be that person to be like, all right, so and so, go ahead, recite, and like they don't want to be caught.
Yeah, they don't want to be caught. They don't want to be put on the spotlight in front of everyone.
Yeah. What's your thought? What's your response to that?
So my response is I always tell students, and I mean from my perspective, I've had students come very nervous. Very nervous. So specifically in my program, there's no need to be any nervous. We're there all to work together. We're there to, like I said, it's constructive criticism. There's no repercussions from you. Your only thing you can do is benefit from joining. Benefit. Sometimes I have students that come and I tell them, you know what, just for this week, you seem very nervous. Just listen and observe. Just listen and observe.
The repercussion is that they get embarrassed.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that. The good thing is about this program is most of these people, you don't know them personally.
Okay.
Right? So it's just like, online, you have them online here. But after a while, most students, I see that I try my best to get this nervousness away. And I think when it comes to men, sometimes we have this too much macho-ness, sometimes our ego gets in the way.
Sure.
Yeah. So I would say that could be one of the reasons why men really don't attend. And I never thought about it. I always wondered, it was always mainly women. And
I mean, it's something similar. I had a buddy of mine who had a gym out on the West Coast, and he's like, men and women both would express interest.
Yeah.
But it's always the women that would show up.
Yeah.
To train.
Yeah.
And he explained it, and he's like, his hypothesis was that the return on the investment of the effort that the women put in is more immediate. Because I guess in the scope of fitness, right?
Yeah.
She ends up looking better.
Yeah.
And that translates into better opportunities, compliments, friends, everything. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas with a guy, like, it's not like that doesn't necessarily translate in that same way.
In the same way, yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like for that reason, when women see the results, right, and they see the return on that effort, then they bring in more people. Right? And so and also at the same time, I guess psychologically speaking, women are more apt to ask for help. Than guys are.
That's true.
Right? And so, and I'm just wondering if any of that plays into with what Quran Revolution is.
Yeah.
And just in general, in the improvement of one's relationship with the Quran, being able to technically recite better as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think that from my personal observation, the women are easier to receive. They receive and they observe more than the men. Sometimes, I've had some men that you can tell from the way that they're responding. They're like, well, that's what I said. Like you're correcting them. That's what I said. You're just not hearing me right.
And any parting advice for students?
Well, the biggest advice I would say is you see most students, like I said, they don't take advantage of the resources. And there's so many resources available to you. If you just stick to what's available to you, you're gonna make it. You don't need any outside influences. Just do everything that the program requires of you, and what also is not required, what's recommended for you to do, and you'll make it with flying colors. You'll actually achieve your goals if you set realistic goals.
Jazakallah khair. Appreciate the time. Yeah. And if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments below. We'll see you soon.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right.